Lucia, thanks for joining.
Oh, thank you, Dan. It's a pleasure to be in on the tail end of your successful first year
Oh,
as a
great.
podcaster.
It's great to have you on.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm all right. For the audience at home, I'm a tad bit stuffy, so enjoy the extra nasal sound that you're gonna get today.
They're gonna love it. I saw a recent painting that you posted of an Annunciation, and
Yeah.
when I saw that, I was like, we got to talk.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, it's really funny. That was like the first Annunciation painting that I actually just did off the dome. Like I was uh I don't know, for the past 5 or 6 years, I've just been basing most of my angelic renditions off of like classical painting. And I had done other Annunciation paintings. Like I was a really big fan of the I don't know if I'm gonna say his name right. I'm American, so I apologize, but Eustache Lesueur. He's like one of the French painters that founded the Academy. So I was really into, like painting the ruffles and everything. And then for this latest Annunciation, I just kind of went into pure imagination and went into more of like the idea of like angels as the biblically accurate type that you are not supposed to understand really as a person. Like you can feel their magnitude, but not really like access their physical form. So yeah, this newest one was kind of like, what if Mary was trans, and what if angels are really like not understandable, and what if like the world is just kind of this patterned, like the world is made of patterns. Um,
So the angel
and
itself would be beyond its form, it was beyond comprehension in a way.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. The angel, I mean, I think it kind of looks like um a big pair of lips in the painting, but I mean, who's to say what that means?
I think we have a lot to talk about. I've been doing a similar thing and basing paintings off of mostly Northern Renaissance Annunciation paintings specifically. There's not that many because, well, for one, those paintings are so slow. That's just such slow painting. You don't have a whole lot of those paintings to begin with, but then even fewer of specifically Annunciation paintings. So I'm kind of running out. And as I've been running out of material, I'm kind of inventing new stuff. That theme, though, what drew you to that theme initially of the Annunciation?
Oh, I'm not actually like an Annunciation painter. I actually am not I'm not like a religious painter per se. I just use angels as actors in my work to talk about um, forces that are bigger than us and ways that unexplainable things happen. So yeah, for me, I'm a symbolist painter. So anything that is like recognizable in that way, where I think the Annunciation is just kind of one of the most commonly understood tableau. So playing with those positionings and everything, and with the like, the positionings of the figures together, but also the gestures of the angels or the gestures of Mary, like the hands. the bodies, the sizing. That's kind of more what I like to bring into my work.
So the angels as metaphors, perhaps,
Absolutely. Yeah.
for something greater, some greater power.
Yeah.
I've been quite fascinated with that theme. I think now and always, we've always been looking towards or imagining this mysterious greater power. You know, you see that with aliens, with AI, right?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot that science hasn't been able to quantify, regardless of our technological advances. So when we live in this world where we're like, oh yeah, no, it's like whatever, take AI for an example, is like, oh, we've like, yeah, we kind of just built a new consciousness or something and it's fine and it's taking over and oh, we have a whole new concept of what our society is going to look like and we're just trudging right towards it. So there's nothing new under the sun. You know, we built the last mystery and now we're just gonna become feudal serfs. No big deal. I don't really know if that's like true. I think that we skipped a lot of the mystery that existed just in our day-to-day lives before we added technology. So I like to try to live in that place instead of just, I don't know, being in the AI psychosis or something.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. Well, you know, whether or not it will actually become fully sentient or conscious or whatever, regardless of that, it definitely is in our consciousness, our idea of what it is. We're creating it as we go, I think.
Yeah. But there is this really like I don't know, I guess everyone listening and you can like steal this if you want to or whatever, but I really was getting into the rabbit hole of researching the Shoggoth, I think it's called. Have you heard about
No,
this?
what is it?
The Shoggoth is a horrible uh blobby monster.
I see that it first appeared in H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes. Yeah, it's a Lovecraftian blob monster, but the thing is that it's got this consciousness that's like beyond our own and kind of can make itself into anything and can travel in any speed and can kind of like confounds humanity, which is again why, another creature that I'm obsessed with of like, oh, it's beyond us. It's just this cosmic horror. And uh people who are architects of AI have started calling AI the Shoggoth, but wearing a little mask. So it's like whenever you're talking to this thing, you're looking at this little human ChatGPT, like, wow, that's such a good idea. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Sure, go ahead. And then behind it is this like raw, seething, giant, palpating thing that you don't know, that does not care about you at all.
That's utterly terrifying.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm like, wow, like people who made AI think of the thing they made like that. I think I don't know. That for me, I'm like there's a million paintings there in that relationship of like just talking to a thing that has a little human face on it.
So when you come up with an idea for a painting, you might be thinking about something in the culture like that, for example, and then maybe that's a starting point.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, for me, I'm like I just spent the last year going through like an international law course, steeping myself in like geopolitics. Um, I'm like a uh very much, I don't know why I'm like this, but I'm like a war watcher, and I'm always trying to understand nationhood and like why we do things and like why we believe things and as nations, um which is like another thing that's larger than us, that it's like a bunch of people just stuck together on a piece of land and then you become this thing. um
Have you read Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari?
no,
I highly recommend it if you're interested in this sort of thing because it's fascinating. He talks about the ideas of nations. I mean, a nation is not a tangible thing, right?
it's an
It's an
idea, but then
idea.
it changes our lives.
Exactly. And it's not static either. Think about just in the course of our lives, how we've seen sort of the identity of our own nation, whatever that is, whatever that means, really transform.
Yeah, it's I think, you know, living inside of an idea that is constantly mutating, um also has that element of like cosmic horror to it, because right now we're living in America and I think of myself as like American, and right now I'm basically just stuck inside of a killing machine. And like I think of a lot of paintings to try to deal with that feeling. Like for a while I was making all of these angels that had paper doll chains for heads, and then like thinking a lot of being a person in a paper doll chain that like can't control what the angel body is doing, and I'm just like a little piece of paper connected to all of this other stuff, feeling like so flimsy, as an individual, and like kind of having no identity, but then also having being a part of this identity that's like, oh, my country is just going to town on the world. I think that's like a lot of where I've been bringing angels for like the past few years, but um, now that it's like all out in the open and everybody is pretty well aware of the thirstiness, I don't think anybody really is still like, oh, America's the good guy. If you are, like, that's very confusing. But yeah, like I guess I was working that out, and now that everyone knows that, I can use angels for other things.
You're pulling things from the culture and that becomes manifested in your paintings, these deeper issues and deeper concerns and so forth. So when you start a painting, do you start with a sketch, a drawing, maybe do you do a digital rendering first, or how do you start?
It depends. Yeah, I have like a big library of stuff now, that I am attracted to. So sometimes I'll uh I'll see an image that's from a headline and I save it, and I don't know why. I just have a lot of very disparate images, like and I don't know when I'm gonna use them, but I hoard them. And then I have my sketchbook practice, which is like just also an ongoing thing that I don't judge. I kind of just, it's this place where I'm just spitting out sketches. And then I have a Blender practice.
Hmm.
So I'll make like a 3D rendering of something, and I'll just save it. I don't know, because I try to practice all the time. And then all of those things will come together somehow. It's very like omnivorous. Um,
So you don't know, you might pull from your sketchbooks or your Blender or a headline article, a news article or something like that. And then does it evolve as you go, or is it pretty much fixed when you start the painting, the image?
I mean, the image I think happens for me before I start making it, but then it'll be this kind of feeling like uh, it's like the image is the lightning rod or something that all of these different materials stick to. So I'm just like always collecting things. I'm always like drawing something. I'm always like trying to s- sculpt or render. Sometimes I make stuff out of clay too. And I'm just kind of doing it. And then an image comes to mind that's like, oh, actually, this image is like three or four of the things that I had collected, and they just fuse somehow. And then I'm like, yeah, that's it. And I don't question it.
Would it be fair
And
to say,
that's it.
oh, that's great. No, that's great. Thank you. Would it be fair to say that a lot of the imagery is sublimated, then manifested through painting? Like you might not realize, like it's sort of like, oh, and this, and it's coming together in an almost subconscious way, and then becomes its own entity.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely like a subconscious kind of processing, roiling, like all these different kind of tensions that I'm working out. And then like it just kind of pops out an image. And then I can't do anything until I make it. I have to just, I don't know. I don't know if that's
Anything besides the painting, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. I was talking to some other friends who are also painters recently about like, or like, oh yeah, if nobody like makes you do something else, it's like you can forget to eat and you can like forget to kind of do anything else until you finish the painting. And then be people like my friends are like, yeah, I didn't drink any water today, like I was painting.
It's amazing. Like there's few things that can really just utterly transport you like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's very funny too because when you're working on something, I don't know, I guess for me, I feel like I'm having I don't know, I guess I would like think of Louise Bourgeois when she's sh- like I'm like transmuting anxiety into art or something. Like I'm taking the horror and I'm turning it into this thing. And then when you think about that, it feels like you're doing something. So it's like, oh, I really have to keep going and like get there. And then I'll have this thing done. Oh, this is gonna be so great when it's done. And then you kind of get out of it and you're like, ah, shit, I just made a painting. Like,
Yeah, but I think it's more important. I think it is that important. No, I think it's easy to be like, oh, whatever, it's just a silly painting and maybe it's gonna sit there and collect dust or whatever. But it really has a way of keeping the culture from stagnating, making art.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess for me, uh, I think a lot about how, I don't know, like no one would really think the same way if you said, "Oh, I've been in meditation because I'm a monk and I live in a cloister and so I'm meditating because that's how I talk to God." And that's important for people who are into that kind of thing. Everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, a monk. Got it." Like you gave up a bunch of things so you could do that. But then if you're a painter, it's kind of like oh, I have the meditative quality, but then there's also this implication that you're supposed to then connect it to some other wider world thing. And then when you're taking these elements of the world that are like, oh, conflicts or like, I don't know, big issues or big feelings, and then trying to put them into a painting, it's like, well, it must be like for the world. You have, but then it's like, well, I don't really know who, maybe it's not, maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's just meditating so that I can go back outside and be a chill dude.
think these things reverberate outward. For example, they've looked at groups of meditators, large groups of meditators, and they go to a certain place or a certain area, and there's less violent crime in that area when they're meditating all together in one place. So if you do that on a small scale, you go out there, you have a good attitude, you're calmer, you have better relationships with your family and friends, and I think it does ripple outward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Living a peaceful existence and yet being aware. It's not like the peace is at the expense of knowledge. It's like uh could be something. I think it's hard to understand what ethically all of this stuff is about. Um, you know, when you look at the interconnectivity of painting as a market under capitalism, and then the things that people do and why they're doing it, and what the hierarchy is of the things that you're seeing, and um, yeah, all of a sudden, it gets so much more complicated than just meditating because there's the act of making the painting, but then there's also like, you can go to 20 different shows in a night, and that's part of being a painter too. But then it can be a pretty aggressive experience.
Whatever commerce is involved, I think there's definitely some shady business happening. But I think the process itself is something that if you're, I hesitate to use the word pure, but I think if your intention is right in the process of making the thing, then it can't be a bad thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess like I think a lot about like Quakerism now that I'm now that I'm a grown up. And like when I was a kid, uh I went to a Quaker school for a while, and we had like meeting for worship and religious studies, and I just think a lot about how formative that practice was as a kid, because it was like, I don't know if you're familiar with how Quakers worship, but you sit in silence and you try to understand um, when God is trying to speak through you. And if you don't feel like God is speaking through you, then you don't talk. So as a kid, all these kids are sitting around like, what is, I don't know. And a lot of them are just talking to their friend next to them and getting in trouble and stuff. But if you're really sitting there like, oh my God, how do I know if God is talking through me?
That's a tall order for a kid.
Well, it's a tall order for anyone, really,
Yeah.
because then, you grow up and you start to see the patterns of who does talk, and that's how you can learn, I think, is you have to hear something that feels like it touches you, to know what, what you're moved by. And I don't know, for me there was this veteran who was at the services with us, and he would get up. He was ancient. He was a World War II veteran. And he would tell stories that I still have pictures from. Like he told this one story that was about seeing explosions going off by a river, and how he imagined that it was fireworks so that he could just live with it. Um, and I still don't know what it means, but it was like, wow, I don't know, something about having to process trauma and then trying to explain that to a bunch of people, and having all these children around being like, what is World War II? Um, and then people telling us stories about the meeting house that we were in. Because we were in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and they would tell us stories about how George Washington hid underneath the floorboards of the meeting house, um, when he was going, around in the forest and fighting or whatever to make the country. And then, it's where, like, right around where he crossed the Delaware. And, um, so you just kind of get told this thing like, okay, where you're sitting is important as a part of this national story, and what is a nation, and like, who are these figures, and God is here with us now, talking through us in order for you to hear this. It's like a lot to unpack, but it also gave me the sense that it's all like connected too.
Did that experience shape who you are as an artist?
I think as a person, yeah, I just as like I can't stop thinking about these things that were, it's very formative. Yeah, it was like that, and learning, in our religious studies courses, we learned about other religions, and how like each one is equally valid, and how you can learn something from each one of them if you study and see the connections, and also see the connections to how religious events are connected to historical events, and how religion is like a metaphor for things that could have actually happened. So it's like,
Hmm.
yeah.
Interesting. I see that influence in your paintings, though. They seem to be metaphors for things that could actually happen, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like including historical figures, but painting them like icons, painting historical things that overlap with religious things. Like literally, I know we're on video right now, but I'm sitting right under this painting, which is the painting of an Angel of Mons, which is like a World War I battle where the British army, they were losing, and then they had an angel come to them and tell them that they were gonna win. Um, and all of the little army guys, like, all agreed that they saw the angel together.
What art has influenced you historically?
Um,
From art history
well,
or contemporary art?
yeah, yeah. I think it's I mean, so much, but I love Peter Saul a lot. Um, I always think of him as kind of like an ideal, uh, because he was so fearless about making these history paintings that um included so much like psychedelia and so much like controversial imagery, but I don't think that I'm controversial like him. But I yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think it would be hard to be now. It's interesting thinking about when he was painting those Vietnam paintings. That was so real for so many people, and that was such a serious issue, and it, was tearing up the country. As a painter, I wonder what is
Well,
controversial in painting.
Palestine.
Yeah,
I mean, if you did like a Peter Saul rendition, but like for Palestine right now, like I think that it would explode people's heads, but also it's so hard to do that when you don't know like it's like how this is just gonna turn into like a cancel war or something. I don't know. It's very
yeah,
scary.
yeah. It's true. It's a very strange culture we found ourselves in, isn't it? But it's just such a privilege to be able to be a painter now or anytime. When did you know you were an artist and specifically a painter?
Oh. God spoke through me. No, I don't know. My mom was um I mean she is a painter. She like paints landscapes and she's done some still life stuff. But when she was raising me, um she had to work all the time and she was not getting to paint. You know, she was just taking care of both of us. So I would be on my own and I don't know, I just picked up her paints and I started painting one day and she came home after work and was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Those paints are like toxic." Uh, and I was like, "Mom,
Was
look."
it like all over your face?
No, I just made a painting. And
Hmm.
then I showed her. I was like, no, look, I'm like doing my work. And she was like, oh, well, carry on.
How old were you then?
I was like 5 or 6,
Where did you grow up?
all over the place. My family started in New York. And you know, we were Manhattanites. In I was born in the 88. Now I'm old. But yeah, my parents they had a little loft uh in the village and then something happened, I guess when I was a couple years old. There was like all these pipes or something broke and the whole thing got flooded and destroyed and they basically put like everything they had into this loft and it didn't work out and then they didn't work out and then that set off their separate journeys of moving all around but all around New York, like to Jersey City, to upstate New York, to like Pennsylvania, to Massachusetts, to Connecticut, like so if you draw a big circle around Manhattan, because they still would like work there, then we've lived there.
So you were kind of nomadic as a kid.
Like a tri-stater.
Where did you go to college?
I went to School of Visual Arts.
SVA. And then did you go to grad school?
No.
So you went to SVA. Did you stay in the city after that?
Yeah, I stayed in the city. When I was graduating SVA, I actually had um a studio mate that was like, there's these little flyers around our studio building that are very mysterious, but hot tip, you should email the email on this piece of paper because it's a very cool project and I'm gonna do it to you. So it was actually like the project was for Maurizio Catalan's family business gallery, and the email was like looking for people to work on the project. So that was literally like my last year of undergrad, and I uh wrote to them and was like, let me give you as much time as I humanly can. So then I just like kind of segued into working with that group. And we put on shows like every 2 weeks in Chelsea. So it was like kind of more of an education than my undergrad. And I just like threw myself into it. I didn't do a thesis. I was like yelling with my professors because I wasn't like showing up to class. And I was like, look, just pass me. Like, I'm working on this project with people who are like in the industry. Like, I don't know, just pass me. This is my final project is to actually put on shows with other artists in Chelsea every 2 weeks. Like, this seems more important than like whatever we have going on in class. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But I was like that in school. I was a bitch. So
Well, you got through it, right?
yeah, I got through it. They passed me. They were like, "Okay, you're right, actually."
So how long were you working on that gallery?
I guess like I was helping them, I don't know, for a while. God, it was in 2012.
I remember you mentioned you had worked for Emily May Smith at some point.
That's true. That was more
That was
recent.
that was more
Yeah.
recent. Yeah. Did
Yeah, I
you?
worked for her for like 4.5 years or something.
It seems like it was a valuable experience.
Oh, it was incredible because yeah, I thought that you know, I before that I was having a really horrible time with gender stuff in the art world and feeling like I couldn't really trust what was going on around me because I didn't know why things were happening. But then working for Emily was so incredible because she has such a rigorous practice and her standards are so high, like, and taking a painting from initial concept to completion, like she uses a very like classic kind of like atelier style of making where you get your paint ready, you get your image ready, you get the underpainting ready, and then you start going in and work very methodically and like um efficiently, and to be like in a place where it's like all women doing that. um I don't know, it's incredible because it really helped me to see like, oh, okay, there is sexism, because I also saw the challenges that she was going through being at like the high level that she is, like still having to deal with people that are dismissive or like refusing to understand like the level of technical achievement that her painting is at. Um, and yet that like seeing her making these connections and building this legacy anyway, it's like it's empowering, it's enlightening. It also helped me to see like how to communicate about things. Yeah, I mean, I know she's like one of the nicest people on the planet, so
So you can be a great painter, you can be rigorous and still be nice
and you can
and be
be,
yeah.
yeah, and be
Yeah.
generous. And it's a, yeah, it's a lesson. It's definitely a lesson.
Well, I mean, if you think about women's liberation was not that long ago. This is we're seeing still a lot of sexism within our lifetimes, still now. Less,
I
but it has
know.
changed. The culture is changing. It has, I think if you compare from when we were kids to now, I think,
Yeah, we've actually lost more rights.
oh
When we were
boy, well,
kids,
I mean that's
we
true.
had more rights than we do now.
There's
Isn't that
different ways, different
incredible?
parts of the culture. Yeah, yeah, I know. Well, it's I guess that speaks to the fragmentation of the culture in a sense. Like what culture, when we say the culture, what are we referring to? I guess we could talk deeper on like a meta level. Well, what is the culture? Who are they? But I guess if you think about people that you know personally, your personal experience, do you feel that it's changing in a positive way?
Um, that's a no. No, I don't. I think that authoritarianism is real, and I think that a lot of the people that I know personally are trans or people of color, and if they're not one of those, or maybe you're just a cis white lady, even then you go to certain places and you've lost your right to choose what you can do with your own body. And yeah, the rights of trans medical care under attack, people of color being abused, like there's literally a Gestapo going around trying to like disappear people based on your kind of looks, because sometimes they're just even getting people who have identification. I mean, it's like the level of fear and also the ways that you can't express that as much anymore is real. I think that like a few years ago we had this little blossoming of like identity politics, and everyone was like, wow, things are really changing. And now it's like, oh, sorry, we're actually going back to like, we don't really want to hear what everybody has to say. So if you're talking about your experience, like, we're actually just going to disappear you. And uh I don't know. Yeah, I think that's worse. I think authoritarianism is worse.
I think about what Ruth Bader Ginsburg said about the United States being like a pendulum. It swings one way, very extreme, then the other way, very extreme. And now I think it's even more extreme than it's ever been.
Yeah, I think that there is like something built into the way that we constructed our society that lends itself to that pendulum swing. And I think that uh our inability to release ourselves from the profit motive above human, you know, like putting the profit motive above humanity, it's just gonna mean like we're doing nothing to change that pendulum, which is just a sad thing because, I think a lot about like the stuff that's outside of our control. And then like the stuff that is inside of our control is like, let's just take abortion access for an easy example. Like we could just enshrine that in the Constitution. Women have the right to choose. And then you can't take it out. But instead, we spent this whole like time waffling about it because of like different religious groups who are using their money to fund people that will do their agenda. And like those are things that we can change if we're brave enough to change them. But then there's people who are like, oh, whoa, society, culture, total black box. How does that stuff work? And I'm like, okay, well, if we can't agree that it's within our power to change things, then I guess it will always be out of our control. Like, um,
What role do you think art plays in all this?
I think that uh that's what I was kind of wondering about, thinking about being someone who meditates on this stuff. And like I think that for me, art is the pathway to clarity. And that's like just a very personal understanding of like um when I'm painting something, I'm learning about it and I'm considering it. And then I'm going out into the world as someone who spent X amount of hours steeping in an ethical questioning. And the painting is like this um, consolidation of that ethical processing that then I think allows me to go out in the world and say without a shadow of a doubt that um, I think that I think that I am a vulgar materialist and that we should be changing the society according to the needs of the people.
I like that. So
I don't
you're
know.
no, that's good. That's good. I think we're really getting at something here. I think it sounds like you're using art as a focal point for all these ideas and a way that these ideas become distilled and manifested through your practice.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it all feels very connected to me, which is hard because in art, people love to disconnect things like that. They love to be like, oh, could we not talk about, you know, something uncomfortable while we're in the gallery because, you know, it makes me feel like I need to do something.
I see why you gravitate towards Peter Saul.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like one of the people who could pull it off somehow.
Those paintings are beautiful and they're fun to look at, and that's I think that's really why it works so well. They're brutally honest with the issues that he was dealing with, but they're fun. So it's something
Yeah.
that you can't deny the joy of these paintings, but at the same time they're loaded with this weight.
Yeah. I wish I was like, that's like my dream is to be that brave, to be like, oh, can I speak out that far with painting to then have this thing, even if painting doesn't change everything because it can't. It's painting is too slow to change the world. But I don't think that it needs to because painting has this strength to it actually, which is its stability. Like the stability of a painted image is that like it's gonna be there. It's like that image is how it is for hundreds of years. Like we can look back on paintings from just centuries ago, and that's what it is. So if you can make something of an artifact like that, that kind of um could possibly contain some of the tension of the time that we're in, and then I don't know, it exists as like then a meditation device for people to piece together like the continuum of our existence. And then I think that, you know, in that historical continuum, you can find so much to inform your action. So, like infusing history with these stable images that allow us to unpack the time that the image is from is like, I don't know. I think it's something really valuable in a period where we're watching everything kind of dissolving around us and thinking that there's nothing to hold on to. It's actually like, no, we can hold on to these crystallized experiences because there is a truth in them. And who knows what you can do with the truth.
There's really something about painting being slow that is important, that's really against the direction of the culture in a big way. Everything's quick, and that's one reason I've been gravitating towards early Renaissance, late medieval, Northern Renaissance paintings, because they're so slow. They're just, look at
Yeah.
a Van Eyck or something is just
Oh,
probably the
yeah.
slowest painting there is. And it has a way of really slowing you down. When you look at that thing, you tap into that, how deliberate it is. When you look at a painting, you tap into the consciousness of the painting.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I was going on a Fra Angelico journey recently, and like, for such a kind of simplified painting style, there's actually so much that opens up when uh you give it a moment, and then you see like, I don't know, specifically the convent of San Marco paintings. Obviously, I mean, he's like painted the whole convent and it's incredible. But then,
Frescoes, right?
yeah, and you look at like, so going back to like Annunciation, right? There's like the Annunciation painting that's like at the top of this staircase. But then when you just see the painting itself, you see this like perspectival painting of all of these archways that don't make sense with like Gabriel and Mary in there, because if you actually were in that space, they would be like 10 feet tall and like tilted forward. But then when you look at it from the bottom of the stairs, the archways all make sense for where you're looking in physical space. And then like the way that all of there's like a little garden area in the painting that he just paints like flat pattern, and then like you can see the ways that he kind of adds just like decorative detail, but then you learn that the decorative detail is like this amount of decoration that you can have for an ascetic Dominican convent, you know? So you learn like so much just by looking at these details. You understand people's lifestyle.
Everything had meaning in those paintings.
Yeah.
Everything was meaningful. There was nothing that wasn't supposed to be there. That's the sense you get looking at those.
Yeah. And then it's true because it's like the people who were like that Dominican sect, um, they actually, I don't know, I was learning about their fight with like the Italian gentry or whatever. I guess they're gentry. I mean, that's not really the right word if they're Italian, but whatever, the
Yeah,
rich
the
and the
aristocrats. Yeah,
aristocrats. Um, yeah, it's crazy because it was like, so in like the 1480s, the monks of San Marco were like under the friar Girolamo Savonarola. I don't know if I said that right. But like this guy, he was not about luxury. And of course, monks are not about luxury, but the monks are being funded by the Medicis. And the Medicis are like running Italy, and they are about luxury, and they are paying Fra Angelico to make the paintings for the people who are not about luxury. And then this friar is just like, we need to restructure society to stop letting these rich people run our our lives, our commerce, our everything. Like we need to actually have like a renunciation of all of this kind of like opulence. And yeah, the Medici's had him killed in like the public square.
This friar who ran the monastery?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they like hung him up on a cross or whatever, and then before he died they also burned him. They
Wow.
were like, no, we're gonna actually have all of our fancy things and we're also gonna run things, so that's what you get. But we still have the Fra Angelico paintings to remember him by. So
I'm glad we have those paintings. They just glow, don't they? I
they
haven't
do.
seen.
And they sparkle. There's a little bit of
Yeah,
in
he
the
was
angel
using
wings.
some semi-precious stones and so forth, right?
Yeah.
I know lapis and things like that. He was
Hmm.
using those.
Yeah, and then there's something, I don't know what it is, if there's like a formica dust or something in in some of the darker colors in the angel wings, but it's really like a subtle thing. You can't see it in reproductions though.
I really want to go to the Prado because they have that big Annunciation tempera painting that he did.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go too. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Let's go. So what's a day in the life for you? Like an ideal
Day in
studio
the
day.
life. Oh wow, an ideal studio day. Okay, so I wake up and uh okay, my husband and I, we have oatmeal and coffee. Um, and then uh I practice Portuguese for like 30 minutes before I do anything else. Um,
Your husband's from
yeah,
Brazil, right? Yeah.
yeah. So working on it. But yeah, then I usually get started with some headlines. Um, I always check Democracy Now, like every day. And then I get to painting, and then I'll make about 3 pots of tea a day.
What kind of tea? Black tea?
I'm kind of a witch, so I have a lot of different tea blends.
Hmm.
Um, sometimes right now I'm doing my very common, Echinacea Golden Seal Astragalus blend with some fresh lemon and ginger. So that's a winter must. And then you gotta have, some other supplements in there. So sometimes, you have like your licorice root to add for sweetness to things. I like to also add a little Schisandra berry, which is lovely. It's great antioxidant for the skin, helps your skin. Um, Sometimes you're gonna need a little digestion. You put a little spearmint in there, some chamomile, maybe some dandelion. That'll clean your blood.
Hmm. Nice. So you have some tea. You get to the studio. You
Yeah, all through the day, I have
all
a
through the. I
giant pot
see
of
throughout
tea.
the
So
day.
basically,
So
I'm painting. Oh, I get up, I make a pot of tea, I drink it down. Oh, I gotta make another pot of tea. Maybe I'm feeling a little sleepy. I'll put some jasmine tea in there. Um, yeah, I'm just housing that tea. Maybe I'll have some cheese and crackers. Um, Sometimes just blast some YouTube.
hmm, nice. Sounds like a good day. So you're painting. You're painting from the morning to the afternoon,
Oh yeah, I'm like I love
all day.
yeah, I love getting going in the daytime and just painting until dinner and then
Call it a
clocking
day.
out.
That's great.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. Are you working on any shows right now?
Oh,
Not at the
no.
moment. Okay.
No. So if anyone wants to put a show together, I'm here.
There's got to be some people out there that want a strange angel and a demonic creature or a historical, all of the above on their
Yes,
wall. Of
yes.
course.
Yes. Come on now. Put me on your track.
Step right up. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think about angels often, or the idea of the angel. Because you see this in a lot of cultures. You see it in I guess I've been focused on angels. They're called devas in the Buddhist cosmology, but
Yeah.
who are they? What is their relationship to humans? You see a lot of different interpretations of that. Are they in a different realm? Do they come and visit us?
I mean, the angels are anything.
What are they? Who are they? What do they want? What are their intentions?
You're never gonna know, so they can be anything you want. That's the beautiful thing about them.
I love that idea of angels, devas who delight in creation. What are they making? What are they creating? Are they creating worlds? And I think as artists, it's the closest we can get to that. Just being in the act of pure creation is such a joyous thing.
Beautiful, dude.
Did you have a podcast for a bit?
I sure did. Yeah. It was art and labor. Yeah. Did that for a long time, weekly.
How long were you
Yeah.
doing that?
Like 4 or 5 years.
Wow, amazing. So did you have a lot of guests on too?
Yeah, we had a bunch of guests, people who were like organizing unions in the art world and, museum workers and uh people who were trying to work out like arts education stuff and like we talked a lot about art and politics and how the two spheres mix and conflict and stuff. So,
Hmm, interesting. So you had
yeah.
artists on as well, art workers.
Yeah, artists are workers, like arts administrators, people from all different facets. Like,
What do you feel like you came away with from that podcast, from doing that?
I mean, a fully formed political consciousness based on workers' rights.
And specifically pertaining to art workers and art.
Well, no, because for me, it really drove home how everyone needs rights. It was like, and that was one of the biggest problems that I had was like trying to talk to people about how artists are not like entitled to special things. That like if we had workers' rights, then everyone would be free to make art, and then the rarefication of the art world would be like dissolved. And for me, I was like, oh no, workers' rights, a fair society that would make everyone their own artist. Everyone could make anything because they'd have the leisure time. They wouldn't be crushed by the work that they're doing. And then we would have so much more beauty to appreciate, and it wouldn't be this scary thing like if you made a bad painting, you'd have to go like leave the art world or something.
It's almost like the next step in evolution is getting to the point where everybody has enough, everybody can survive, we all have privileges, we all have rights, I should say, and that we all have the ability, the time, everybody can make art.
Yeah, that's the idea. Honestly, that's like, people talk about communism being this whole big scary thing, but the people who are like conceiving of the idea are like, okay, well, everybody works a little bit so that everybody can get what they need because we're a social species. We can work together and then we all work less. And then you get to do beautiful human things like write a poem or take a nap or make a painting or make a big ice cream sundae if you want to. Like you can just choose. Like, yeah, I mean, of course we haven't figured out how to get there yet, but it's because utopia is, it's a goal. I don't know.
I don't know if you've heard the term protopia. It was coined by Kevin Kelly. I think he was one of the co-founder or else the founder of Wired magazine, and he describes that as being it's obviously it's not a dystopia, it's not a utopia, which both those things are maybe not even possible or desirable. It's certainly in the case of dystopia, we don't want that. But the idea is that you're gradually making things better, just a little bit better. If everybody had enough to live on, would they make art? I mean, I think what you're saying is like what that kind of requires for this to happen, it would require a massive cultural shift in consciousness.
Um, I think about the historical precedents that we can look back on that are like changes that happen with legislation that radically reform people's lives. Like you can look back in history to a time where there was no weekend, there was no concept of a weekend, and we had like children dying in factories. And then it's like, oh, actually, weekends are better for people. It's better if you don't work all the time. Make a weekend where people don't have to be in the factory. Oh, okay. Oh, but this is like, people are like, whoa, what would we even do? And then it's like, yeah. And then you got a bunch of people the idea of a Sunday painter, someone who has free time on the weekend, so they make a painting, or they do whatever the fuck they want because who cares? It's like, why would you have to worry about what everyone is doing? Like, what everyone has to be a slave so that you know what they're doing? Like, we have enough, we have automation. Like, we actually have so much food that we're letting it like rot in storehouses. Grocery stores are throwing things away, sealing the garbage so that people can't eat the food. Like we're mismanaging things to such an extreme degree. And then people are out here working with like 3 or 4 jobs and not able to make rent. Like, what if you just had a society that wasn't insane? I don't know. Like, we could start there.
Appreciate all your thoughts and the work you've done thinking about this. And I think for something to become reality, it has to be an idea first. So you're doing good work, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, Dan.
Well, Lucia, it's been a real treat to talk to you. I wonder if there's anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Um, if you want to see some paintings, just let me know.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and talk to you later.
Talk to you
Bye.
soon. All right. Bye, Lucia. Take care.